Hi Alan, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for being the part of HTBD, How to Do Business in Dubai. So we'll start with a brief of your experience and industry you have worked in over the years in Dubai.
Look, in terms of my experience, I've been in Dubai for about 9 years, going on 9 years. I landed here in 2014. I've worked with a lot of companies, ranging from Fortune 500 companies to agencies, nothing on the client side. Most of my experience is in digital, so I've worked across marketing, search, I've done digital, I've done creative advertising. I've worked now, my current job is operations for a startup company that's been around for about 5 years. I moved from client servicing after about a year, and I've moved into sales and operations for the role. I've got to say that being in Dubai has been quite interesting. It's been a very educational journey. Certainly challenged my beliefs on the cultural nuances here. And being from South Africa, I think I've had a very limited belief of what the world outside of South Africa really offered. But being in Dubai, I think it's because it's such a multicultural environment. It offers such an interesting perspective on the way you see world around you, the way you interact with people, the businesses, acumen, the scholarships and education programs. Very, very interesting market to be in.
That's beautiful. So why Dubai? Like when you decided to fly out of your country, why Dubai? Or something about your love life, laughter?
I'll actually be very honest with you. So when I came to Dubai, the story was I had been in South Africa for 26 years. And I looked at getting out of South Africa to challenge and broaden my horizons, to learn what the world around me looks like from a different perspective. I landed up coming to Dubai because it was such a very early stage adopter in the digital field. Because I had experience, I studied a degree in digital as well. And then I had worked for 15 years before I'd actually moved to Dubai. I think why I chose Dubai is that it offered such an infantile stage of digital doing business, and it's grown, and it's the investment that Dubai offers, or the UAE offers into businesses, unparalleled that I've seen in the world. I think it gives you such an interesting perspective, and it's always adapting. It's a living, breathing machine in Dubai. It does grow. It's gone through ups and downs, but I'd say that it never really fails in delivering innovation every single year. The economy is always invested into by the government, but also private sector as well as the commercial sector. Live life, laugh. I would say that Dubai it definitely is a challenge, right? And I think my experience, my perception of Dubai is it's good. It certainly has been a very long journey, tough at times.
Yes,
but
indeed. Far from home, so it's not always happy, merry. Some days are good, some days are rough. So it's part and parcel.
I would say that the perspective I have is, if you don't have family that stay with you and you're independent, living in Dubai, surround yourself with as many friends as possible, network as much as possible, and that's a good way for you to challenge, but also grow as an individual. So doing sporting activities or any social activities, or what's popular here is the networking activities that we do, i.e. Product Middle East. Getting to meet people from different backgrounds and different countries and different sectors has actually broadened my horizon on the world, which is, I think, the starting point of why I've chose to come to Dubai.
That's beautiful, superb. So from that innovation part, as you were mentioning that there have been so much of innovation happening in Dubai, your perspective on what kind of creativity and innovation in your daily life, in your work, or in your personal life, do you see Dubai aiding that innovation and creativity?
Sure. Your
opinion on it?
Look, UAE as a whole, including obviously Dubai, is investing into a lot of smart initiatives. So the smart vision for 2030, the 2070 vision of the UAE, and from that perspective, the Provident Fund, the state fund, handled by ADGM and Mubadala, and vice versa with Dubai as well. they're investing quite heavily into becoming a first world, leading economy and leading city in the world.
Yeah.
And there are various innovations that are constantly taking place, and there's various announcements that are constantly taking place as well. I love the fact that Dubai is pushing the boundaries when it comes to tech.
Yeah.
And we see this in our daily lives. We use apps quite heavily, mobile applications, which makes life a lot more convenient. So we don't have to worry about going to the let's say the petrol station or I don't know, doing shopping. You can do all of that online.
That's true.
It makes commuting as well. I've seen the investment in, let's say, the metro stations are absolutely amazing, pushing the boundaries again in innovation. And even if you look at what's happening in the future, Dubai taxis, they're now looking at,
flying taxis.
Exactly. Which, if you think about it, how exciting would it be to get an automated vehicle on the top of a building and fly off to another destination, which cuts your commute time by 50%.
In fact, I did saw news where they were discussing about that they had some pilot driverless bus running around Marina area.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, again, AI and machine learning, it's exciting, but I think there's still, in my personal capacity, I wouldn't want to get into a machine that's not operated by a human. But again, I love the fact that it is pushing the boundaries. And even if you look at a recent example, the Sheikh of Dubai invested over 4 billion of his own money into AR and VR. And that is making big headway right now. And I think it's also joining in line with Facebook, for example, who's now invested and brought up a headquarter here in Business Bay as well. Also not Business Bay, in Media City. They're investing into the AR VR field, right? They're trying to create AR and VR experiences.
Yes.
Another friend of mine who also has a company in AR and VR, he's creating these meta experiences. Give an example: you walk around in any place like Business Bay or in, let's say, Marina, and as a tourist, you can download these applications and you actually do augmented or some mixed reality experiences where they show you various content that's been created by the Dubai government.
Wow.
And that's quite interesting.
So while you're walking, you're able to see the augmented reality of at a place, what are the government features or services available?
It's not so much on the government side, it's to augment the experience. So you take your phone out, you open up the application, you point your camera in a particular area, and it automatically loads an experience.
Okay, got it.
For example, Museum of the Future, before it even opened, the way that they got people interested in Museum of the Future, you pointed your camera at the building in its construction phase. Near the final construction phase, they had various AR experiences, flying animations, they had cars, they had all the future initiatives, which got people really talking about the fact that Dubai is investing so heavily into the innovation. From a personal side, I think it's got a very interesting culmination of the old and new. And I find this quite fascinating that Dubai is growing so much. You've got historical parts like Bur Dubai and Dira. Then you've got the more modernized areas like Marina and JBR. And I see that kind of culmination is happening on an ongoing basis. So definitely a great place to stay.
Thank you. That's a very good example of how innovation and creativity is shaping up, and people who are listening to you, seeing this interview, I believe they would be quite excited about it, because I am, as you told about your friend working, having this company, and they are working with the AR and VR experiences. It is going to be something very beautiful.
I think so.
The other thing which I want to talk about is your opinion on the startup scene in Dubai.
So I can easily answer the question. I currently work in a startup. That's first and foremost. So my company does UX and UI. When we started out in the region about 5 years ago, because digital is always evolving, UX was an area that was quite new. So you
develop apps? The company develop apps?
Yep. So we do the research, the user research, and we focus on the needs and the habits and the behaviors of the user. And then we interpret that into the business environment. So we look at the objectives of the business as well as what technology they want to use. And we create the experience, whether it's mobile, digital, web app, whatever it might be. And I'll go back to the point that I was going to say is UX in this region was very, very unknown. So we were one of the first and foremost startup companies to do UX and UI in this region. We've grown our footprint now recently into Saudi Arabia as well. But you talk about startups in general. One of my clients that I work with quite regularly is the Hub 71 guys in Abu Dhabi. They're founded by ABGM as well as Mubadala. And what they do is they invest $500,000 as part of a incentive program. So they do cohorts where startup companies who are in the early stage, pre-seed, who need the funding and the guidance, they are awarded, if they get into the program, $500,000 by the Mubadala government.
Oh.
They basically then can utilize that credits or the incentive up for 1 year in whichever way they need to, building a team, investing into a product, the concept, the stage, the research, whatever it might be that they want to obviously grow the business and grow the startup. I'd say doing or finding a startup ecosystem here, it's become a lot, more focused on in the last 6 years, I would imagine. You've got so many players in 5D Tech, Hub 71, and it's
so many of them
exactly
who have come up.
And I think what they're investing more into is the tech area. So medtech, fintech, edtech, what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah.
And again, I think the contribution that tech and the startup ecosystem has towards the economy, they're growing that by the 20% target. So there is definitely a huge influx as well as a region, and I'd say definitely a huge interest by the government itself investing into the startup system. And that pilot program that they've done has carried over into other markets as well. So again, going back to the previous point about innovation, the UAE as a whole has invested quite heavily into the startup industry, and I think it's fantastic, given the attractive benefits that it has here as well, the low tax rates. Almost zero tax rates actually. The great lifestyle, the ecosystem. There wouldn't be any reason why I would not recommend anybody to do a startup company here.
That's great, superb. So I believe a lot of people will be excited about coming and exploring the opportunity of doing a startup or probably expanding their businesses from different parts of the world. We've seen a lot of companies, particularly in places like America and Europe, UK as well, included. I would say that they're looking to localize their products or their services in the UAE and by extension the Middle East, because the Middle East is a very interesting market, very attractive. It's kind of a flashpoint now for business.
Exactly.
For many other reasons, but I think for business, Middle East has become a very one of those grounds which prospers a lot of opportunities of growing the business.
And if you think about it, I mean, the Middle East, I think, it still has a long way to go, I will be honest. The two primary markets that a lot of companies are focusing on is Saudi and UAE for obvious reasons. But I think over time, other countries will follow pursuit. Where they open up their borders, they will start expanding as well their services. And as I said, what makes it such an interesting appeal is that it's a culturally rich environment. So you've got this influx of expats coming into the country, as well as the influx of the balance where it's more local versus expats. So very interesting market to obviously market into. But if you think of companies like Facebook and Instagram and Meta, they're now opening up offices here specifically.
As well,
and a lot of the companies now also doing headquarters here. So Oracle, Microsoft, I kind of think of Salesforce. They're growing quite heavily in the market. So 100%, definitely a good market to go for.
Superb. Okay, the next... because you have been working here for 9 years, one good advice for anyone coming to Dubai, be it someone who want to work or do business, study, one good piece of advice from you.
Very good. A challenging question. I would say don't be afraid to take the risk and network as much as you can. Right? And it doesn't matter if it's personal or business-wise. The richness of the cultures that you have here will, as I said earlier, it will challenge you, but in very positive ways. And it will definitely broaden your perspective on both the personal and business side. And I don't think any other country in the world can offer the same kind of benefits and experiences that you do get in Dubai, or by extension the UAE. So don't be afraid to go out there, showcase who you are, use your skills and network with people, because there could be a lot of synergies. That's how a lot of business is created in the Middle East, and you've got lifelong friends. Full stop.
Perfect. Super. That's beautiful. So thank you so much, Allan, for joining us, for doing this particular interview.
Thank you.
Probably we'll catch up again.
Absolutely. Lovely to do it again.
For episode 2.
Absolutely.